welcome to Nick Reviews. Today is my first episode, and I will be reviewing a film called The After Party, which is directed by Ian Edelman, and it is starring Kyle, who's played our protagonist Owen, and Harrison Holzer, who's playing his best friend Jeff. So this movie was released around a month ago, August 24th, 2018. It's a Netflix original, it's an American film, it is a comedy. So let's get right into it. So at the beginning of the film, it starts off with our protagonist, who we find out is a upcoming SoundCloud rapper, and he's just trying to make it in the industry and trying to make a name for himself. So it starts off with him kind of rapping at a record executive who we find out is just his assistant. But anyway, that plays a more of a part later on. But it's him really trying to get his name out there and trying to put his foot in the door. So then from there he goes on to his first performance, and in his first performance he is, I wouldn't say headlining, but he's one of the opening acts. But who's opening up for him is actually Ski Mask the Slump God, which to me doesn't make any sense because Ski Mask actually is mentioned earlier in the film as an already upcoming SoundCloud rapper. And from a rap fan like me, I already know who Ski Mask is. I mean, I know who Kyle is, but in the movie kind of timeline, you're not supposed to know who Owen is, which is Kyle. So at his first performance, after Ski Mask is done, he goes on stage. And right before he goes on stage, who's there but Wiz Khalifa? And Wiz Khalifa hands him a joint, they're smoking, talking a bit. Wiz says, "Good luck, you'll do well out there." Goes out on stage, and he's doing well. One of the good parts about this film was actually when Kyle is rapping, he's actually pretty good. And that's one of the things that kept me interested in the movie. So he's on stage, he's performing, and then literally a minute or two into his performance, he looks over at Wiz, he's like, "Oh, that's some good stuff." And then starts profusively vomiting all over him. From there, he goes into a seizure, actually. And then people are videotaping this, and from there on out throughout the movie, people know him as Seizure Boy. Now, one of the things I did like about this movie was the fact that they had the social media influence, because today in rap's kind of today's society or climate, is that social media plays a huge influence. When you look at rappers such as Kashmir Girl, who start off on Dr. Phil, or even Boonk, who started off doing social media stunts by small theft and stuff like that. And then from there, he got signed to a label similar to Cash Me Outside Girl, and now both of them have a career. Although both of them are very different trajectories within their career, they're both kind of use social media to get signed. So from there on out, we get into the middle of the movie, and the whole middle of the movie takes up the meat of the structure of the story. So the middle of the movie is just him trying to get record executives to notice him. And one of the ways he does this is by going to rap shows, which the one that they use as an example is French Montana. So he goes to his rap show and he gets backstage passes. This is from the assistant that he was rapping from before. And from there, they're trying to get into the after party. And in the after party, this is where most of the record executives are and where most of the connections will be made. So in the whole middle of the movie is just him. It's really just about him, and the character development is very weak there because all you see is him working at Chipotle. You think that he's not going to make it because his dad's trying to push him to join the military. You think that he's not even really working on his raps, actually. You do notice that he does have like a soundproof closet where he's got a little mic and stuff, but you never really see him rapping there. Unlike in 8 Mile, where you can see Eminem listening to beats pretty much every day and working on his ride home, writing down lyrics and working on his self, developing him as an artist. Rather than this, he's kind of trying to make it more as a rapper, trying to go viral and trying to get people to, you know, a record executive to then help his career move forward rather than him doing it himself. And from a SoundCloud perspective, that does not really mesh well, especially with the audience that I felt it was trying to go for, which is more of like an underground rap feeling, rather than what it really hit the mark for is more of like an industry plant kind of fan base. And especially if you're doing it from a SoundCloud rap, you would want to do it more so like I was thinking more like an artist like Bones or Xavier Wolf, where they don't have a label backing them, rather they have their own kind of label that they develop themselves. Rather than having them make music for the record executives, they make music for their fans, and that's how they develop their career. And this is where the movie kind of lacked for me. Rather than it being about the art and the raps, it was more about being viral and more about being a social media influencer and a rapper on there, rather than having a good actual SoundCloud basis and a good body of work to show people. It was more about how am I going to make it? How are people going to notice me? So also one of the things is that he is also known as Seizure Boy from the rest of the movie, and it's also how is he going to break that kind of name that he already developed for himself. From there on out, we do see him try to make it. Does get into this after party, and he gets into a fight there. Him and his best friend Jeff get into a fight with some guy who is at a strip club, and the story wise they didn't really have to do any of that, but they needed some sort of antagonist in there, so this is why they threw that in. And they end up knocking the guy out, and then right when they knock the guy out, Owen starts rapping in front of this whole crowd, and then he used that as his moment to shine. The video ends up going viral. People start noticing him, and then from there he gets noticed by record executives. He gets signed, and literally like 2 minutes after he gets signed, you see him walk out on stage, and it's just a packed audience. And like they didn't show anything in between. The whole middle of the movie was just him out going to the party, and then from there his career blows up. So what they should have done probably is, instead of him just going to the party, about him going to a party, they should have shown it from how he's getting signed and then how he's going to develop his career from there. Because just because you get signed does not mean that you're going to be the next upcoming artist, the next Lil Wayne or Drake. Like, for example, look at Lil Xan. He got signed by, I forget what label now, but he got signed, and he started off as a SoundCloud rapper, but then once he developed an album and put that out, it got very bad reviews. It did not do well in the sales-wise. And you know what? He was signed, and he just didn't really make anything of it. I mean, his career still has quite a ways to go, and that was only one of his first albums, so we'll see from there. But that's kind of one of the things I didn't like about this movie, was the fact that it just said that once you get signed, you're going to make it, which is not true, especially in today's rap climate where people get signed almost daily, but you never hear from them again. And in the end, it has the typical fairy tale ending where the protagonist gets the girl, he makes it big, his dreams come true, and that's pretty much how they wrap it up, rather than showing him as an artist developing his career and developing his fan base. So the problem with this movie too is that there's no character development. You don't really care for Owen or Jeff. You don't, like, in most movies you want to have the audience feel for them, and you want the audience rooting for them to win. But in this one, I just felt like the only reason I was watching it is because I'm doing a review of it. And if I wasn't doing a review of it, I probably would have turned this movie off within the first half hour or so. Because it was just, there's nothing really keeping me in my seat. The structure of the movie was pretty awful, because the beginning of the movie is like, let's say the intro of it's only like 15 minutes. The whole core of it, the middle, is an hour, and the ending's only like another 15 minutes. And the core of it, the middle, is the worst part, because that's just, there's nothing pushing the story. Rather, it's just a linear narrative, and the characters are the ones kind of pushing you to keep going, to keep you interested in what's going on, but they're not even that interesting, which is the problem. The cameos in it, where do I begin with that? There was so many cameos. We had Wiz Khalifa, we had Ski Mask Slump God, we had Eddie Hyung, we had Fatboy SSE, we had Young M.A, Designer, DMX. And now all these cameos are pretty famous rappers, so that's kind of one of the reasons they put them in there. You could have literally replaced any of these rappers with unknown actor, and they would have had the similar effect, other than the fact that you know who they are. They didn't really push the story with these cameos. Like, for example, a good cameo is usually Stan Lee in Marvel movies, because you know he's one of the big creators of Marvel. But in this movie, all the cameos didn't really add any effect to it. They were just in there because they rap, and but they didn't really influence anything to the story. These people are in there probably just for the paycheck, if anything. They didn't really help develop any character. They didn't really help develop the story. They just were in there for the sake of being in there. Now, cameos can work well in some effect, but in this one I felt like it kind of took away from the story. Rather than me caring about what Owen's going to do next or what Jeff's going to do next, I care more about who am I going to see next in this movie. All in all, the movie was not good. It lacked a lot of substance, it lacked a lot of story. There's nothing in there that made me care for these characters. So what I'm going to say is that I'm going to have to give it a 1 out of 5 stars. I do not recommend it to anybody. I would say save your time, save your time pretty much, because it's on Netflix, so you're just paying for your Netflix subscription. You're not paying for a movie ticket. Even if it did go to the movie theaters, I think the box office would have killed it. It got a lot of backlash for the whole seizure thing, which a lot of people are going to dislike it just because of that. And just from a movie perspective, it did not serve a good purpose. It did not help any of these characters. It did not help any of the people in the movie, really. Rather, I felt like it took away from what they were trying to do, why they were trying to show how a kid can make it and a kid can live out his dreams. Rather, it kind of took away from that and just showed you that if you want to make it in the rap game, you kind of have to make connections, and you kind of have to do social media stunts, and you kind of have to appeal to a record executive rather than build a fan base, which is not true. So thanks for watching. Comment down below the next movie you would like me to review. I'll try to do this weekly, and I appreciate it. Thank you.